The Ellicott Theatre was established in 1941 by Isaac H. Taylor. Over the years it has existed as a movie theater, a disco, a teens drama group, a comic book store, as well as several other businesses. Isaac H. Taylor was 20 years old when he came to Ellicott City in 1914. A native of Baltimore, Taylor came to Ellicott City to establish himself as a businessman. His first business was a jewelry and optics store, which he purchased from Leo Rosenfeld. He married Rose Kaplan in 1916. He relocated his business twice before he built his own building in Ellicott City in 1924. This store became Taylor's department store, the only three-story building in Ellicott City at the time. In 1941, he had the theater built on the burnt-out remains of a Chinese laundry and ma and pa store on Main Street, Ellicott City. Throughout the years, the Ellicott Theatre has been kept by the Taylor family, although it has been rented out to many organizations.
It was originally a film theater. Back in 1941, it was built on the burned-out remains of a Chinese laundry store and ma and pa grocery store, right on the corner of Main Street and Old Columbia Pike in Ellicott City. And in 41, a lot of little art houses, or a lot of, not art houses, excuse me, a lot of movie theaters were popping up all over the place. And Dr. Isaac Taylor, who was the original builder of this building, saw a need for that in the Ellicott City area. And so he built on the burned out remains of those other two businesses, he built this movie theater.
Because they used to have cowboy movies and there used to be serials. And you'd go back on when it's Saturday and you'd see the continuation of Roy Rogers, or not Roy Rogers, it was probably Tom Mix, and those old westerns, and you would go down and it would be a continued serial. I remember going down there because they used to have cowboy movies and there used to be serials.
It existed as a film theater from about 1941 to the late 60s. And at that time, it was vacant for a little while, and then it reopened as the Superstar Disco to pick up on the disco era. And with that, they put plexiglass in front of the stage down front and put lights underneath the plexiglass so that it could flash on and off while people danced, and it had that big silver ball, which none of you probably remember, but it was the John Travolta era when everybody was dancing like this. And that went on for a long time, and he put the man that owned the place, and his name escapes me right now, invested a lot in sound equipment and making the place acoustically sound for the disco era.
Between Monday morning and Wednesday morning, the week of March 19th, 1974, the Superstar, which was what the Ellicott Theatre was being used as, was a disco, was broken into, and thieves stole around $17,000 worth of very sophisticated sound equipment. And it was interesting the way they got in. If you're familiar with Ellicott City, the Tiber River runs underneath most of Main Street. And it seems that these individuals, that they had floated down the Tiber until they got underneath of the Ellicott Theatre. They broke through the basement wall and were able to get inside the theater and start removing the sound equipment. And they lowered the sound equipment down into a rowboat, and they floated it on down the river to another location and unloaded all this material into their vehicle that was parked nearby. And it was the sort of thing that you would see in a movie, not in real life, the way they committed this crime. And they weren't caught until, I would think, around 6 to 8 months later. And I believe 2 of the individuals were arrested in New York City, and possibly one was arrested in Columbia here. So it was sort of the crime of the year.
There may have been a few little businesses in between, but the next big successful business that I knew about was the Children's Live Production Company, and they renamed it the Little Theater on the Corner, and that was run most of the time by a woman by the name of Betty May, who I believe the Children's Live Production Company, it was a comic book store for about a year and a half, and that was when I first stumbled on the theater and said, this is the place where I would like to follow my dream, which was to open a movie theater and show the kind of films which I feel are not in your standard repertoire that you'll see at the malls and some of the big movie theater chains around the area. These are art films, we like to call them, films that are made by independent filmmakers. So that's what we've been doing here now since about December 19th, when we opened with a movie called Red Rock West, starring Nicolas Cage and Dennis Hopper and Laura Lynn Boyle. And I guess we've shown about 6 films, usually run about a week, sometimes they run 2 weeks.
Before you walked into it, you didn't know how much renovation we did. We didn't do much to the outside because we wanted it to retain the look. So we just did some painting on the outside. The lobby has been totally redone. New carpet, new ceiling, new lighting. The concession stand that was here looked like your mother's dining room table with some formica over the top of it. I won't say dining room, kitchen table. It looked like a kitchen table with some...
with both the espresso bar and the types of films that we're showing here, to make it feel like when you come to the movies, it is the total movie experience that you're getting. It's not just a short stopover for 2 hours where you see a flick and then you go out and try and find your car in the parking lot. We want this to be a night out where somebody comes to town, has a wonderful dinner at one of the restaurants here, or has a nice aperitif or drink at one of the bars, comes in, sits down, waits for the movie to start by having maybe a cup of coffee or a cappuccino or espresso, sampling some of our fare here, and then in a more relaxed atmosphere go into our auditorium, see the movie, and then come back out and maybe have something else on the way out as the next crowd is coming in. So we're trying to create a whole feeling here that we think a lot of people are missing right now. We want people to relax